Looking for filters? Check your coffee maker. This is Filter Free Radio with Jacob Dean and Skeptical Scott. FilterFreeRadio.com. Get ready to suck down some grounds.
When I talk about resistance, I think we have to stand up now and carry out acts of nonviolent resistance.
Because the truth is, we do have power.
We live in revolutionary times, but the counter-revolution is winning.
Sounds like a case of the Mondays.
Live every Monday, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. Filter Free Radio.
This is my favorite show.
We have been given an opportunity to make a new beginning.
I think it's very important for us to start to build a culture of resistance because what we're doing isn't working, clearly.
It's our job to very coldly assess reality and then figure out how to respond.
Your number one source for unfiltered truth, analysis, and solutions. FilterFreeRadio.com.
Welcome, my friends and filter-free truth seekers. Ladies and gentlemen, turn off your television. Ignore the Rush Limbaugh, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton reality show. It is as relevant to your life as the gossip on Jersey Shore. And voting in American Idol does not count as voting. The real debate raised by the Occupy movement about inequality, about corporations dominating and corruption, the security and surveillance state. This is the only debate that matters. You will not hear it. You will not see it. You will not read it in the corporate-owned airwaves. The cable networks like MSNBC, Fox, NPR, PBS, ABC, CBS, or NBC. You will not read about it in your major newspapers. The battle for justice is our battle, the vast global battle against the 1%. It is about living rather than dying. It is about communicating rather than killing. It is about love rather than hate. In the great battle against the corporate forces of death that reign over us, the fossil fuel industry, the weapons manufacturers, the security and surveillance state, the speculators on Wall Street who are destroying our ecosystem, the trees, the air, the water, is literally throwing our survival as a species into doubt. Welcome to Filter Free Radio. You can find significant conversations that really do matter in the corners of the internet, but you really have to go looking for them. My name is Jacob Dean. I am so pleased to be with my co-host and producer, Mr. Skeptical Scott.
Hello. Thank you.
And our special guests for the program this evening are the fine and super-duper awesome co-hosts of a fantastic progressive show on Radio or Not, Wednesday evenings. It is called Talking Left. You can check out the website, talkingleft.com. Also follow them on Twitter at Talking Left. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program, Danielle and Shano.
Hello, guys.
Good evening.
Yeah, how's it going?
We are doing great. Thank you for having us, Jacob.
Nice opening riff, man.
Yeah.
That was stand up and applaud type stuff, man. All right.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. I am amped up. I've got so much to talk about, so much in the news going on, and I definitely wanted to thank you guys for coming on and riffing through this, and hopefully we can try to make sense of the senseless and try to answer the unquestionable and sift through the filtered untruths for the truth. I don't know. I wanted to open real quick with a quote from actress Julianne Moore. You might recognize her. She did a interview with More magazine. I just thought this was really cool. She said, quote, "I do not want my daughter or her friends to be interested in Jessica Simpson. I want them to be interested in what's happening in their own lives." And she went on to say, encouraging women to focus on celebrities rather than themselves is a really bad thing, and that's why we should ignore tabloids. So right on, Julianne Moore. That's what I'm talking about.
Nice.
Give a crap about what matters. Yeah. There's a lot in the news that I want to talk about. Bill Clinton, former President Bill Clinton, in the safe presidential member-only club, is embracing the Keystone XL pipeline. I have audio and a little tiny riff to share with you on that. The Homeland Security has been keeping tabs on Occupy Wall Street. No real surprise there.
No surprise there. Homeland Security Patrol was at Occupy Fort Lauderdale when we did our march there.
I
right?
see.
Oh.
Excellent.
Bad news.
And also, women were standing up for their rights in Richmond, Virginia over the weekend. 31 of them were arrested. Why is that a big deal? Well, on Monday, actually last Monday, right around the time when we were getting ready to do the program, the House voted on a bill. It's called the Trespassing Bill, or it was known as the Trespassing Bill. It's actually H.R. 347. The U.S. House of Representatives voted 388-3 to pass this bill, which basically criminalizes protesting anywhere near the presence of a designated government official. And the kicker is the public may or may not know that that's the case. So how could they know that they're breaking the law, therefore, et cetera? I want to talk about that bill a little bit and get your guys' thoughts on that. And what else is? Oh yeah, how can we combat the gas prices rhetoric that's coming from the right now? Oh, Obama's got a big problem with the gas prices, and not so much. And it's not about the left versus the right. It's really about, the corporatists versus we the people, the capitalists versus we the people. And I want to talk a little bit more about that because, like I just said, you have Bill Clinton, a Democrat, who comes out in favor of the Keystone XL pipeline. And then you have, anyways. I want to talk about this bill because... Oh, go ahead, Shane. Or Scott.
Come on. They're outlawing speech.
And political speech, which is should be the most important protected kind of speech.
You would think that, right? So just to bring us up to date in case you missed this, and I missed this is last Monday as we were going on the air. If I would have caught this, I would have done the whole dang show about it even though we ended up doing the program about, a Leap into Action Day or the Leap Day. And that was a success in Portland, and I want to talk a little bit about that later. Shutting down the corporations, and the website on that was shutdownthecorporations.com. But on Monday, the House of Representatives approved a bill last Monday, a week from today, that basically outlaws in instances where some government officials are nearby, whether or not you even know it, outlawing protests. And like I said, they voted 388-3 in favor of this bill, which is dubbed the Federal Restricted Buildings and Grounds Improvement Act of 2011. Oh, that's such a nice sounding bill. It's so pro-American, the Federal Restricted Buildings and Grounds Improvement Act.
Yeah, it sounds like the Patriot Act, right?
Right.
It reminds me very, very much of when Florida basically submitted women to what most would constitute as rape, and they put that in the literally named Reduction and Simplification of Healthcare Act. It's like they just, do the members even read these bills, or that name sounds flowery. That's good. I can be listed as voting.
Yeah. It has to be the opposite of what it does. That's how they define the terms.
Yeah,
exactly.
I would say limiting free speech is not improving a public place.
And so kind of digging into this, at first read, basically, Congress makes it illegal to trespass on the grounds of the White House. Now, I didn't realize that wasn't already a law, but that's now part of this law. We cannot trespass on the grounds of the White House. Okay, that's fine. I can get that. That's an important area. That's important people. That's an important stuff going on in this vicinity right here. So we really don't want people to go in there and muck it all up. I get that. Okay, so not protesting at the White House. That's all in the act, right? No. Under the act, the government is now also given the power to bring charges against Americans engaged in political protest anywhere in the country. Anywhere in the country? I thought it was just at the White House, right? Further reading, the bill allows the government to bring charges to protesters, demonstrators, and activists at political events and other outings across America. The new legislation allows prosecutors to charge anyone who enters a building without permission or with the intent to disrupt a government function with the federal with a federal offense if the Secret Service is on scene. Any building, any grounds where the president is visiting, even temporarily, is covered. Okay.
And that includes the Super Bowl.
Okay, so we can't protest at the White House. Okay, I get it. That's cool. That's an important area. We can't protest against the president, even if he's out on tour giving speeches and stuff. Okay, I get it. He's an important person. So that's where it stops, right? Only at the White House and only the president, right?
No.
No. But wait, there's more. It's basically, the bill is covering and protecting anybody protected by the Secret Service. So, like, for example, presidential candidate Rick Santorum when he was granted Secret Service protection last week by his request, American protesters can no longer protest him. That means anyone, if you were thinking about, glitter bombing Santorum, that is a big no-no. You will get your ass busted for that. And it's also...
The language of this bill is really broad because it uses the term restricted buildings or grounds, and the definition of one of them, it has the White House there, it has the buildings or ground where the presidents are, but it's Part C. They're considered a building or grounds so restricted in conjunction with an event designated as a special event of national significance. That's it. Wow. Could that not be broader?
And whether or not the public is even made aware, like... Let's say you didn't even know that President Obama was speaking at your local convention center in your local town, and you were there and you had something else going on, another planned organization, event, protest. You're going to picket, the whatever have you. If you didn't even know that there was another event going on and Mitt Romney or Rick Santorum or Obama or Joe Biden or, whoever just happened to be there, and you just happen to be doing something else completely unrelated, you just happen to be busted with a federal charge now, my friend. And
well, Jake, I hate to disagree. I have the bill in front of me. Section 1752 of it, restricted buildings grounds, it says whoever in the first line of everyone knowingly enters or remains.
Oh. But how do you prove knowingly?
Well, that's but it does say knowingly.
But how do you prove knowingly?
There's a mens rea, but they'll just say you knew. We told you. I'm not saying they can't flub it, but it does say knowingly.
Well, that's very important because that is not in the article I have. But I stand corrected. Thank you, Shana. That's
that kind of legislation really worries me because it's so broad and it's the slippery slope.
Right.
Okay, then how do you define a public official? How do you define the specific location? How do you define a protest?
Or something of national significance.
Right. I mean that is just giving away more of our rights, like we are known to do in this country.
Bingo. And if that's not enough of a kicker to be like, okay, I'm angry right now. How about this? George W. Bush is guaranteed protection for up to 10 years after his administration ended or until 2019. And every living president before him is eligible for this for life. So no protesting George W. Bush, no calling him a war criminal, no prosecuting him as a war criminal in events of protests in his general vicinity. It's like, how many loops and loopholes do we have to make you jump through before you get to say the truth? That's my point.
This has got to go to the Supreme Court, though. Right?
The First Amendment will trump this. We have the right to assemble peaceably and petition our government for redress of grievances. That's tantamount to this law. It would be supreme over that if the Supreme Court actually does its job for once.
That's why I like Shano, and I wanted Shano and Danielle on the show. It's something that I know Will from Chicago in the chat room is probably working on, and I've talked about this a little bit in the past shows. But this spring in Chicago, there's going to be a G8 and NATO summit. And they're expecting, a large number of protesters at this. I guess you would theoretically label this a national special security event, right? And so any disruptive activity or whatever would be a federal offense under this act. And so... in the past when we've seen G8 summits or we've seen, World Trade Center protests or whatever back in Seattle or Chicago, that can't happen now. There's no protesting now. That's a federal offense now. and
it's pretty stiff, 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years in prison. I mean, this is no violation here. This is some hard-ass freaking, federal time here.
And in the state of Illinois, we're talking about Chicago here for our friends in Chicago. In the state of Illinois, videotaping the police is under current law brings criminal charges. So,
oh, what are they afraid of?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's the same transparency we ask of ourselves, of our fellow citizens, of corporations, which is laughable, and of our government. If you don't have something to hide, why should you fear being videotaped? Why should you fear protest?
Heck yeah.
I think you combine this with like the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act back in December, the Patriot Act, etc. And really what it says is that our government doesn't care what we think.
Exactly.
And moreover, they don't even want to see us in the streets protesting about it. That's for damn sure. So.
And they don't want us to vote either. That's for sure.
No, they could care less.
If they decide to count them, they're not really interested in what we have to say.
Well, money is speech, so that's what matters, and the rest. And there's more money than there are people, so let's face it.
The article that I'm reading, by the way, is from RT. You can find several different articles on this story all across the interwebs. And one thing that they, like I mentioned earlier, the House voted and passed it 388 to 3. One of the 3 people who voted against it, there was only 3 people, by the way, who voted against it. One of the 3 is U.S. Representative Justin Amish from MI. That would be Missouri, right?
Mississippi.
Oh, excuse me. Michigan, right.
Oh, damn, I didn't know that.
The 3rd District. I get my MIs mixed up. Mississippi, Missouri, Michigan.
MSMO.
I am. It's an Oregon West Coast thing. I don't know. But this representative from Michigan, 3rd District, Justin Amish, my apologies, Justin. He was one of the 3 that voted against it, and he left on his official Facebook account, quote, "The bill expands current law to make it a crime to enter or remain in an area where an official is visiting, even if the person..." Now we just realized from Shane's comment that this could be contradictory to what's actually going on, but Representative Justin Amish writes, quote, "The bill expands current law to make it a crime to enter or remain in an area where an official is visiting, even if the person does not know it's illegal to be in that area and has no reason to suspect it's illegal. Some government officials may need extraordinary protection to ensure their safety, but criminalizing legitimate First Amendment activity, even if that activity is annoying to those government officials, violates our rights," end quote. And again, as Shano just mentioned, that might not necessarily be the case. So I guess if you don't know that you're breaking the law, are you breaking the law? But
It's not a lie if you believe it.
This is getting
George Costanza.
This is getting super wonkified. So, my apologies, and I just wanted to talk for a minute about that because I saw that, and I was like, oh my goodness, this happened last Monday and we missed it. Oops.
I think it's one of those things that even though the legislation is worded in a way that they have to have prior knowledge, how are you going to prove that? How are you going to prove that you didn't know? How do you prove a negative?
Well, also, this is... If you play a situation out, okay, they've determined that this building or this place, whomever is there, this is going to qualify as one of those grounds. And then you have someone from Homeland Security walk up and say, "Did you know this is, I'm telling you right now, this is one of those grounds." That means you have to leave then.
Right.
Because they can prove at that point.
Right.
So, and all you do is say, this is those type of grounds, and therefore you have to leave. So therefore they can end any protest they want to if it's uncomfortable to them.
Just by having a public official show up.
Or put a sign up saying this is considered under blah, blah, blah to be such and such grounds.
Oh, but that would never happen. They would never limit free speech like that.
But that's all they have to do. And boy, it would be a lot easier to clear people out of parks.
Oh, that makes sense.
Oh yeah, there was this Occupy thing going on, and it was like gaining momentum, and like people were like,
there's a lot of organizing going on for these summer's protests,
and people were like getting active and showing up, and like, and they were actually threatening the status quo. It's like we can't have no.
I heard that Charlotte is getting militarized for the RNC.
And Scott's opinion stays.
No, seriously,
No,
that's not an opinion. That's what I was reading in the news, where local police force are getting all kinds of new equipment, riot gear, et cetera, and gearing up. And there's major plans to have a large police presence at the Republican National Convention in Charlotte this summer because there are planned protests. There's tons of planned
by
protests.
this new definition, say it was held. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jacob. You said this new legislation is specific to Illinois.
No, I'm sorry.
What House bill?
Federal?
That's a federal law. This
Okay.
law is federally distributed.
And wouldn't the RNC convention in and of itself be illegal? Because aren't those people protesting the other
Absolutely.
other candidates and standing for their own?
Oh, absolutely. No, in fact, it says so right here in the article. The article I'm looking at from RT says where is it right here? Oh, it says since Bill Clinton, there have been nearly 36 events that have been considered National Special Security Event, NSSE. Among them have been the Super Bowl, the funerals of Ronald Reagan and Gerald Ford, most of the State of Union addresses, and in 2008, the Democratic and Republican National Conventions. So, there you go.
We have a clip for Danielle's comment. Oh, what? My box just died. No, don't die, box.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Dun, dun, dun. That's not good.
That's right.
Anyways, so...
What's the worst that can happen?
I was going to play Well Handled, Sir. Well Handled.
There you go. I got it for you. Oh.
Well handled, sir.
And you got an extra bonus bling
Well
on
That's
that.
what I need. I need those little blings. I like those. Yes.
The other clip I was going to play...
This is what a police state looks like!
This is what a police state looks like. I like that. It's
Police
funny.
in Albany.
Sorry, I didn't mean to that.
Oh, that's okay. We're working out the kinks here, and Shano, you mentioned the Homeland Security, and that jogged my memory to one of the stories that I wanted to mention or talk about or discuss. Bring about is Rolling Stone magazine. I subscribe to it. I love it. I'm a music junkie as well as a big Matt Taibbi fan, and I love the reporting that they're actually doing, real investigative, truth-telling journalism at the Rolling Stone. But the Rolling Stone obtained an internal document from the Department of Homeland Security, basically showing that the Homeland Security agency has been keeping its eye on the Occupy movement, on the Occupy Wall Street protests, saying, quote, concerned about potential disruptions to transportation networks and infrastructure, which to some is completely understandable and justified. The title of the memo is called Special Coverage Occupy Wall Street, and part of its warning of the potential for violence, saying, quote, large-scale demonstrations also carry the potential for violence, presenting a significant challenge for law enforcement. The continued expansion of the protests would make it harder for police and movement organizers to control protesters. First off, violence is the most venomous drug that really exists because it only continues to breed more violence, and there's really, once you step into that realm, there's no escaping it, and it's completely detrimental to your movement, to your stance, and to the moral high ground. And we always condone violence, and we always suggest that, the correct nonviolent tactics are the way to go to always maintain the moral high ground, but this simply suppressing the movement is treating the symptom of the problem. It's not actually treating the cause of the problem. It's like going and getting liposuction because you're overweight, which is treating the symptom, when instead you could be eating healthy and exercising, and that would be treating the problem. The reason that there's protesters waking up and people are getting in the streets and there's a movement growing, people want the truth, people are becoming active, is because, quite frankly, people are fed up. There's a problem with the system. There's a problem with several systems. They are broken. They no longer work to their designed function, and therefore people are getting angry. And so when people get angry, they have to find ways to go about expressing that anger appropriately. And we see things like Occupy Wall Street and Occupy, Fort Lauderdale, Occupy D.C., Occupy Portland, Occupy L.A., Occupy whatever have you. These really independent, nonpartisan movements growing, and the status quo is scared. There is fear amongst those in power, and they want to maintain their power. So they have to do things like have Homeland Security keep tabs on Occupy Wall Street, or pass new bills that say it's illegal to protest, or suppress. Anyways,
Fascism is the easiest way to maintain power.
Yes, and once they no longer, once people realize that it's all charade and a game, then they have to resort to suppressionary tactics to keep us.
Well, what's the phrase? I can't think of it. I'm going to bastardize it. But when these institutions no longer serve the function for which they were created, they are limited to force or fraud as the only means by which to keep people in check. And soon force is all they have left.
Bingo.
Because people are starting to see through the fraud. So, well, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah, they'll do that. And when we come back, we'll continue the conversation with hosts Danielle and Shano of Talking Left, TalkingLeft.com. You can hear them Wednesdays right here on Radio or Not.
Just like everybody can hear you right now on Progressive Blend Radio.
Oh, my goodness. And we're going to give a shout out to Progressive Blend and DJ Downtown when we come back. And we're going to talk about Bill Clinton and what the heck is he smoking this time, embracing the Keystone XL pipeline. Filter Free Radio when we come back.
Oh, God, what is this? I feel like I'm on acid or something.
Disappointed yet again by Sunday morning political talk shows brought to you by the mainstream media? Don't let them ruin your Mondays.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
There's a fresh way, a filter-free way to jumpstart your news week. On Monday nights, come experience Jacob Dean, host of Filter Free Radio.
He is the most interesting man in the world.
Finally, there's a radio talker who will arm you with the real facts, all the facts, and guide you through the labyrinth of fake news and false punditry. Each week, Jacob Dean throws out all those worn-out memes, crystallizes important issues, champions progressive causes, and features constructive solutions. That's Filter Free Radio, every Monday night from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern, on the Ustream home of Nicole Sandler, RadioOrNot.com, and FilterFreeRadio.com, the official website of Filter Free Radio.
The corporate propensity for rationalizing the irrational in the pursuit of profit appears to be boundless. Consider J.R. Simplot, a giant conglomerate whose mining operations in Idaho have grossly polluted creeks with selenium, a highly toxic metal. But Simplot's scientists rationalized the corporation's dirty deed with a 1,000-page study, asserting that even though the selenium contamination of creeks was well above levels allowed by environmental law, the water remained, quote, safe for fish. Tucked back in the appendix of Simplot's study, however, were a few photographs that vividly depicted the screaming irrationality of the corporation's safety claims. The most stunning photo was of a two-headed baby trout, produced by Simplot's pollution of area creeks. It was not the only sickening deformity caused by the selenium. Other trout had facial, fin, and egg disfigurements. These grotesque mutations led to calls for an independent agency to conduct a full scientific review of Simplot's 1,000-page study. At Senator Barbara Boxer's request, this was done by the Fish and Wildlife Service, which issued a scathing report in January that bluntly branded the corporate study biased. For example, Simplot systemically understated the deformity rate of baby fish in the creeks. It's not 20% that are deformed, but 70%. Ask about this rather broad discrepancy, a Simplot vice president could only grump that the Fish and Wildlife Review was, quote, totally outside the regulatory process. Well, thank goodness for that. As another independent toxicology expert says, I have seen lots of malformed baby fish, but never one with two heads. We need to be careful here. This is Jim Hightower saying, yes, let's. In fact, let's stop swallowing any irrational rationalization by corporations that pollute for profit.
If you like these feisty pops of populism that Hightower zings out on the airwaves, check out the Hightower Lowdown. Jim's monthly newsletter provides the in-depth lowdown on what the greed heads of Wall Street and the boneheads of Washington are doing to us behind the scenes. With Hightower's saucy Texas humor and truth-telling populist perspective, the Lowdown literally can lift you up. And get this, you can have the Lowdown delivered to your mailbox or email each month for only $15 a year. Yes, 12 issues, only $15. Check it out, hightowerlowdown.org.
Come experience the next generation of progressive voices. Weekday nights on Nicole Sandler's primetime lineup at radioornot.com. Liberate yourself with Filter-Free Radio, hosted by Jacob Dean every Monday night.
It's just the system is broken. Just bring it down. Bring it all down, right?
On Wednesday nights, take a sharp progressive turn and join Talking Left with Danielle and Shano.
All those Republicans are anti-capitalist.
All of a sudden, well, no, they're just anti-Romney.
Exactly.
and it's interesting to watch the three-legged stool splinter.
Then let it all hang out, both Tuesday and Friday nights on Turn Up the Night with Kenny Pick.
You love the Constitution so much, but you hate the government, but you love the corporations. Where does that come from?
Tune in to the primetime Radio or Not lineup weekday nights at the Ustream home of Nicole Sandler, radioornot.com.
I'm sorry, I just find the whole thing so ironic and so mind-bending, it's just ridiculous.
Unfiltered truth, news, and opinion. Filter-Free Radio with Jacob Dean. Live every Monday, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. Radio or Not. And filterfreeradio.com.
Well, the numbers ain't so good, so we got to do everything we can.
Ideas aren't good or bad. They're just free.
I probably shouldn't have given this place 5 stars on Yelp.
Is this real life? You know?
Shut up! This is the most fun I had.
I'm sick of watching Fox. Let's get some fresh air.
And fresh air indeed. Welcome back to Filter Free Radio, our website, filterfreeradio.com. You can watch all of our previous shows. Just click on podcasts. And by the way, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and get the most updated shows, get all the shows sent to you via your YouTube account. Just go to filterfreeradio.com, click on the full episode podcast link there, and it will get you to the YouTube channel, and you can subscribe there, and then you'll get all of the podcasts sent to your YouTube. So hey, we're advancing, and speaking of advancing, the whole network, Radio or Not, radioornot.com, Nicole Sandler's network is advancing. We have some excellent, fantastic new partnerships that we want to mention and give a big shout out and tip of the hat to. And one of them being Progressive Blend Radio, which I think if all the wheels are turning and the magic is happening behind the scenes, you're actually listening to us on progressiveblendradio.com. DJ Downtown, want to give Downtown a shout out there, buddy. And so check it out, progressiveblendradio.com. And also, I want to mention talkradio1.com is a partner. And on the line with us right now are two fantastic hosts. They do a brilliant show Wednesday nights here on Radio or Not. You can follow them at Talking Left. I don't know this week if they're going to have Bill Press or John Fugelsang or Tom Hartman or Stephanie Miller or, you know, who's going to be joining them this week. But it's always fun and a surprise to check out who. Shano is one of the most brilliant producers, so I want to welcome back Danielle and Shano of Talking Left, their website, talkingleft.com. And
I'm actually blushing now, Jacob.
No.
The funny thing is, this week we actually aren't doing a show.
We're doing a best of.
Oh,
that's okay.
Well, we're going to actually get to meet Bill Press if everything goes accordingly. He's doing a book signing in the area at Books and Books in Coral Gables for anybody who is nearby. And so we're going to, it just happens to fall on show night. So I think anybody who listens to us would agree that you go and meet Bill Press if you have a chance to.
Yes. And I want to give a quick shout out to Bill Press and Stephanie Miller for the huge announcement that officially went public this morning. Bill Press and Stephanie Miller will be now featured in a morning show on Current TV. So how about them apples? A little round of applause there. My producer man with the box there, and I'm feeling, come on, applause. All right.
You have a whole smattering of applause.
Thank you.
You're like,
Not too bad.
Not too bad. Not too
Good
bad.
Phil, Jacob. Good Phil.
That's gonna be awesome. 6 hours every morning.
I know, and if there, I mean, God, I'm so excited, and congratulations to both of them.
Especially as progressives, I mean, the best thing that we can hope for is Morning Joe on TV, which that's just not a way to wake up. I'd much rather have Bill Press pumping the radio through the house, but now we can, pump that TV.
And Joe Scarborough isn't even a Democrat. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
I'm just saying he's not even
exactly.
Oh well. Speaking of Democrats not even being Democrats, or Republicans not even being Democrats, or the whole left-right paradigm, here's another example of why it doesn't really matter. Ladies and gentlemen, our former president of the United States, Mr. Bill Clinton, commenting on the Keystone XL pipeline.
The extra cost of running it is infinitesimal compared to the revenues that will be generated over a long period of time. So I think we should embrace it.
I remember when Mr. Tom actually told me about this before I read about it, and I said, Bill Clinton supported Keystone? He's like, yep.
I'm sure you're all with me when I say congratulations, you son of a bitch.
I just went,
but realize this is coming from the man who gave us NAFTA.
The NAFTA Shafta. Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of the backstory in case you're interested or you missed this. Basically, Bill Clinton said it's really time to build the Keystone XL pipeline. He was speaking at a Energy Department conference in Maryland, where I live, the state I live in, last week. And he said that he's really surprised that the project has gotten as gummed up as it has, really laying the blame on the pipeline builder TransCanada. Right.
Yeah, not that global warming thing. God forbid.
Yeah, and in the quote that I just played, there's more to the quote, but the section that I clipped out because it was what I thought was important. He's talking about the extra cost of running it compared to the revenue that it's going to be generating over a long period of time. We should embrace it. Yeah,
Isn't that a false comparison? What was the cost of operating the BP oil rig? But then, when it didn't go so well, what was that cost? We still don't know.
Burn from the lawyer bitches. Or not lawyer, but...
And it would be interesting to get Bill Clinton and his former vice president in the same room and talk about this.
Yeah. And
I'll hear that conversation.
The other, reading further down in the story, he said, Bill Clinton said a few other things. What was it? There are some hazards to the innovation of this project. Really? So we should embrace it because it has hazards?
Yeah, why don't we ask all those people on the Gulf how they feel about those hazards?
Those hazards. It sounds like you're really, yay. It's just a hazard. Don't worry. You must be this tall to enter this ride. Don't worry.
When was the last time you saw a state or even a region of states have a television ad campaign of simply vacationing to their destination? Before
BP. The series, Come to the Gulf States. We're not polluted. That's why I love those commercials.
Pretty much. You won't die from Corexit.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing to see here. Come to everything's fine.
Seafood's great.
Seafood's
Absolutely.
Oh my God, I'm never eating Gulf.
Oily taste.
Yeah, it's well, what was the same? We saw two ad campaigns that were very similar. One was Come to the Gulf States, and what was the other one, Jacob?
Me so hungry.
It was for California. It was for
California.
But that's California for you. I mean,
yeah, it was just the way it was laid out because it was from like the Vacation Bureau or whatever. It's just identical.
We have to advertise because we're the best and we know it, and so come to California.
Yeah.
But and then there was a couple of other contradictory statements that Bill Clinton made in his speech at the Energy Department conference in Maryland last week. What was it? We have massive new recovery technologies in oil and gas, which could lead us down the path of thinking that we don't have to keep using less energy and developing clean energy and technologies. So embrace the old technology, embrace the old energy. I don't get it. I do get it in the fact that when you're a former president and you're in the President's Club, you kind of get to do your thing without much pushback.
Oh, those are his friends in the oil industry. Come on.
And it's all about the money. Follow the money.
Well, it's just I'm sorry for me. I'm really stuck on the NAFTA thing here. What were all the speeches we heard about NAFTA, about how it was going to create prosperity in all the countries and it was going to make everything so much better? Why don't we go ask the Mexican farmers who've had their crops destroyed by Walmart and been bought out? Why don't we ask all the jobs that have, as we've heard the phrase, the giant sucking sound went to other countries? I don't think that worked out so well. So I really don't think he's somebody I trust on this issue.
I know what you're talking about. Ooh. I get to do this for a living. I found the clip.
And you can move your factory south of the border, pay $1 an hour for labor, hire a young 25. That's assuming you've been in business for a long time. You've got a mature workforce. Pay $1 an hour for your labor. Have no health care. That's the most expensive single element making a car. Have no environmental controls, no pollution controls, and no retirement. And you don't care about anything but making money, there will be a giant sucking sound going south.
Ross
You
Perot.
don't care about anything but making money.
Get on the bench.
And this is going to be any different. And first of all, I don't hear talked about this Keystone Oil pipeline. This is solely a political issue. This is the reason Obama's supporting it is because he wants to take the talking point away from the Republicans. The reason the Republicans are pushing for it is because they want to make Obama look weak on natural energy. The fact is, a lot of the states the Keystone pipeline was originally to be routed through have said, no, we won't allow it. And the actual corporations who are going to build the Keystone pipeline have not found an alternate route. So as of now, there's not even a place they can build it. And all of these people are fighting over nothing but talking points.
2 words: eminent domain. Trust me.
Of course.
If it passes, they'll take that land from the states and say,
right,
F you to the 10th Amendment.
TransCanada this week said it would begin building a section of the pipeline from Oklahoma to the Gulf Coast and then reapply for a new permit for the remainder of the project. So just kind of ducktailing on what you're saying, Danielle, the thing is not approved, yet they are already building sections of it, and they're going to try to reapply for new permits. What the fuck?
But even if it doesn't matter what the states think, they can just federal government can go in under the 5th Amendment and take the land. They can just take it. We saw the case, all the cases about eminent domain where the government just say, we want to use this land to build a mall instead of your houses, and we will take your houses. We'll give you what we say it's worth, and goodbye. Thank you very much.
Yep. Not to mention the fact that we're exporting fuel right now.
Right.
That's our number one export.
90,000 barrels.
Right.
On it.
So this is about keeping gas prices. We are the nation's oil refinery. That's really what we are. I mean, the world's oil refinery.
Yeah. And, I mean, like
what we manufacture.
Economies and economics are supposed to be based on these things called supply and demand. Like, they're inverses of each other. Like, when there's a high supply of things, there's supposed to be a low demand of things, and vice versa. And then there's a price component to this. So basically, like, as the supply of oil and gas goes up, the demand is going to go down. Therefore, the price needs to go down in order to match the market and to let the quote-unquote free market be free. But then it doesn't do that. And so you say, what's going on here? Well, there's a fourth element to the equation that most average Joe, average Jane folks don't know about and need to know about is speculation. Wall Street speculation, oil futures, and these things. And so what it comes down to, the bottom line is the market isn't functioning the way that the market's supposed to be because somebody's got their finger in the pool and manipulating the game because the game is rigged, and we all know that we don't benefit when the system.
There's other ways to manipulate it by manipulating supply, redistributing supply by exporting, like Scott was saying, and exporting gasoline out of this country. So
and also
OPEC did it for years. They don't do it as much anymore. So if you can bring that supply down, the demand, if it stays the same, the price goes up.
Well, and also the Republicans want gas prices to be high for re-election. For political reasons. And so they don't have as much freedom to mess with the speculation by their big oil buddies because a little bit more people are onto that now. So now it's let's wage a war, even in proxy and verbally with Iran. So that way we can raise the oil prices that way. they've just replaced the way that they're increasing speculators to go and raise the prices of barrels of oil. Yeah. They're using this. They don't give a damn about a war in Iran. No. They're doing it specifically to try and raise oil prices.
Saber rattle enough, tick them off enough, and cut down the supply, and therefore prices go up, and they get elected.
And they're all making more money, especially the traders.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Traders are always going to make money.
Yep.
Because that's definitely rigged.
And I mean, the gas prices. Who was it? Was it Jon Stewart or Stephen Colbert that did a brilliant bit, and where they played Steve Doocy on Fox in the morning? He literally read the talking points memo that they get that says, "Talk about this, this, and this because this, and this." And Jon Stewart blew it up, and it was so brilliant. But
it was great.
They actually read their talking points memo on the air, and it's like it was a peek behind the curtain. But the gas price is a really hot topic right now, especially on the Sunday shows, especially on conservative media, corporate media, because conservatives, Republicans think that this is one of the things that's going to hurt Obama. One of the things is we can take Obama down, because everybody knows that the gas prices go up right before we hit summer. Everybody's driving around for summer vacations, etc. I mean, it happens every single year. The gas prices go up, and I know that one of Danielle's favorite topics to talk about is messaging, and one of the frequent guests we have on Radio or Not is Matt Emmer, Message Matters, and I wanted to, I found I dug out an article on gas prices and how to kind of combat the talking points that you will hear conservatives talking right now about, and since we're on this topic, I want to bounce a couple of these off of you guys and see if you agree or disagree, if we like any of these things. One of the the attacks or the smears that you hear is like the energy secretary said Obama doesn't want to lower gas prices, when he said that the goal is to decrease our dependence on oil, which is something that we all want, right? Mm-hmm. You would think that. And drilling isn't the answer.
Who's this we you speak of?
Yeah.
What?
You said something we all want. I said, who's this we you speak of? Because
So Scott, you're saying that our dependence on oil is a good thing?
No, you misunderstand me. What did you just say? You said he said our goal is to decrease our dependence on oil, which is something we should all want. Right. It's not something that his contributors want. It's not something that the American Petroleum Institute or any of the commodities traders or really any of the Koch brothers or anybody in the industry would ever want.
Right. So anyone who is not in the light asking for the truth and the right solutions is in the darkness, probably because their deeds are evil. And that's actually from the Bible and from our...
if you have something to hide, then you're probably doing something wrong.
William Jennings Bryan audio that we played before. But also, I mean, drilling isn't the answer, because oil production is up. It's the highest it's been in years, but gas prices are going up because we just talked about how the market, the quote-unquote